Hello, hello, and welcome to Out of the Cave. Welcome to Out of the Cave, where we don't stare at the shadows, we break the illusions. If you're here, it's not by accident. So let's get started. They say history repeats itself, but I say it reloads. New faces, same script. New century, same curse. Two men, 100 years apart. One freed the slaves, the other warned of secret powers. Both had enemies with three names. Both were shot in the head. Both fell on a Friday. Lincoln and Kennedy. Not a coincidence, a ritual. A reminder that the cave replays the same illusions, just with sharper shadows. And you, still staring at the wall, call it progress. I call it the loop. I call it the pattern. I call it the reprogram, resetting. But once you see the reflection in the mirror, you'll never again believe it's new. History doesn't repeat, it reloads. I want to share a video with you and break down the quick similarities of these two presidents, Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy. Let's get started.
Living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on
Let's start over. Let's see if I can't restart.
a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their three names, both names composed of 15 letters. Lincoln was shot at the theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car called Lincoln, made by Ford. Both and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. And here's the kicker: a week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe. And Lincoln was shot in a theater, and the assassin ran to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse, and the assassin ran to a theater. Most insane coincidence in history. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946.
All right, so what I want you to see here is that numbers, numerology, all these things are very significant. There's no new thing under the sun. All these things are the same. Time does not change. Past, present, and future are all one.
Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost a child while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln.
The elite recycle, reload. The same scheme is always being played. We are all the same people that were here 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Energy never cannot be destroyed, never dies, just recreates.
Was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their three names, both names composed of 15 letters. Lincoln was shot at the theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car called Lincoln, made by Ford. Both and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. And here's the kicker: a week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe.
All right, so Marilyn Monroe also is very significant in part of the transgender ideology that's connected. So to let y'all see how this stuff has been going on for forever. And there's no new thing under the sun. All right, all this stuff's very significant.
And Lincoln was shot in a theater, and the assassin ran to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse, and the assassin ran to a theater.
So let's step outside the surface facts and get into the cave. And we've all heard of Plato, a philosopher. So one thing that we have on our side is that history, it's like math and science, it never changes. That's why it's important to go back and see history, check out the history. So I want to share with y'all a little bit of Plato for those who may not know. Let's give like a quick little breakdown. A super important philosopher Plato is. All right, here we go. Share.
Soren Kierkegaard was right. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true.
All right, so right there we can see he said there's two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true, and the other one is to refuse to believe. And we call that delusional thinking.
It's a fact that for most of our lives, we humans unconsciously bask in ignorance. But sometimes special people come along to wake us from this state that some would call bliss.
Yeah.
In fact, the myth of the hero who brings wisdom, symbolized by light or fire, in a world of ignorance symbolized by darkness, is as old as humanity itself and can be found in all cultures across works of literature and art. Take, for example, Plato's allegory of the cave. People usually learn about it in school when they make their first contact with the philosophers of old. But most of us are too young and inexperienced to fully understand its profound meaning and teachings until way later in life.
And most of us don't want to take the time to learn. We prefer to be fed. We prefer to stay in the captivity.
When we start to question the reality that has been programmed into us and to form our own beliefs and values. When this moment comes, having a roadmap for the journey that one has to undertake and becoming aware of the obstacles that may emerge is a thing of utmost importance. And in today's episode, in collaboration with After School, we are going to explore this journey by dissecting Plato's allegory of the cave, its connection to ancient myths, and the ultimate narrative archetype we know as the hero's journey. Plato's allegory of the cave is one of the most influential philosophical concepts ever introduced, encapsulating timeless questions about reality, knowledge, perception, and enlightenment. Located in Plato's seminal work, The Republic, the allegory of the cave serves as a metaphorical narrative depicting the human condition's journey from ignorance to enlightenment.
Right? So that's every human's responsibility, is this journey of enlightenment. Otherwise, you'll just be part of the default programming, which allows you to be manipulated by the elite, right? Even look in all of this here, right? That we see this Star of David, the eyes, all these things are significant. These symbols and things are happening around you, and being ignorant to them can only keep you blind.
Embedded within this allegory are profound implications about the nature of knowledge and the transformative journey of gaining wisdom. The narrative echoes through numerous myths and philosophical discourses, bearing a particularly striking resemblance to the Greek myth of Prometheus
Right.
and the...
Hold on, this isn't actually the one I wanted to start with. Let me ease y'all into it with a, a simpler version. Let me see here. Why are you coming with all this heavy stuff? No, I had some a little bit. Yeah, here we go. Here's our beginner's version. But that's there for a little bit later when we start peeling back the layers, right? So we want to start easy here, and we will peel back the layers for those who are able to see. He who has an eye and ear will hear this, so it's not for everybody. All right.
In many stories about characters discovering that reality isn't real at all.
This isn't real.
What is real?
But where did this idea come from?
Hello, someone there?
For that, we have to go back over 2,000 years to the famed philosopher Plato. Why is this story still so captivating, and what can we learn from it? This is What is Plato's Allegory of the Cave? Make sure you subscribe and enable notifications for more videos on literary techniques such as irony, satire, and foreshadowing. Now, on to ancient Greece.
How's it going?
The Allegory of the Cave is a selection from a larger work called The Republic, written about 375 BCE by the Greek philosopher Plato.
All right. So what's really significant here is that these are old ancient books written in 375 BCE. So this is before the Bible and all that stuff, right? This is okay. So, we know that that's how they change your reality, by changing the history, or trying to change the history. That's why it's important to read and, the old stuff before it was filtered and changed up to reform your opinion here.
It remains a seminal piece of writing with profound philosophical questions about the nature of human perception. To illustrate these ideas, Plato uses an allegory, which is a form of storytelling that uses symbolism to represent larger or complex ideas. So, what happens in Plato's Allegory of the Cave? It begins with a group of prisoners who have lived their entire lives in a cave.
And this is just a common people. This is most people here in this prison, not even aware.
They are chained to a wall, unable to turn their heads. So all they see is a wall onto which shadows are projected. Above and behind them is a fire that other men use to cast these shadows.
Right.
They hold
The elite programming you to see when they put out the fake news and all those kind of things. That's what this is. This is the Wiz, right? The Wizard of Oz back here playing this here to keep you asleep and to lullaby.
up statues and figures of animals, occasionally making noises like a puppet show in silhouette. Because this is all the prisoners have known, the shadows are their perceived reality. One of these prisoners is set free and turns to see the fire behind them. The prisoner is told that the shadows were merely an illusion. The brightness of the fire hurts his eyes as he struggles to perceive this new reality.
And the elite knows that the one or two people that do get free and they become aware of the truth, that the people that are still in the cave aren't going to believe them. The same way you have people that's going around just, feeling crazy or misled or getting emotional about stuff, things like politics and all that. It's because of this very allegory.
The prisoner is then dragged fully out of the cave and into the glaring sunlight. Once the prisoner's eyes have adjusted, however, he will slowly realize that this reality is far more real than the one he knew before. Instead of the mere shadow of a tree, he sees an actual tree. The prisoner then returns to share this enlightenment with his fellow prisoners. But as he re-enters the cave, he is effectively blind once again, for his eyes are no longer accustomed to the darkness. Seeing his blindness, his fellow prisoners assume that he has completely lost his mind. They mock him for leaving the cave in the first place and vow to kill him if he tries to make them do the same. There ends the story. So what are we meant to take away from this allegory? Let's look at the various meanings and interpretations.
Yeah.
Just like the Matrix, Plato's allegory of the cave deals with big questions.
What?
The quest for enlightenment,
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
the nature of reality,
And know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Will make you free. Once you've seen it and your eye is open, you can't unsee it.
How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
and overcoming those who would keep us in the dark.
As long as the Matrix exists, the human race will never be free.
In the cave allegory, Plato describes the journey from ignorance to enlightenment, much like the process Thomas Anderson endures to become Neo.
Why am I, sir? You've never used them before.
As Plato describes, the journey upwards is the ascent of the soul into the intellectual world. Those who seek and attain this enlightenment would understand greater truths about our existence.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
The knowledge Neo attains becomes a great weapon against the machines. Plato
Look how easy it is once you become aware of the truth and have that freedom on you. You can defeat all of this.
argues that in order to create a utopian society, we should be ruled by those who have seen the light, rather than those who choose to see only the shadows.
I choose the Matrix.
The Matrix isn't real.
So it's people that prefer to be blinded. So when you try to enlighten them about, just take for instance what we're going through over here in this country, America, people aren't willing to realize that the democratic government is not for you. Like, they are about themselves. We saw that with the President Lincoln and Kennedy similarities. Their main goal is to keep the people blind in the cave, keep you in the cave.
Disagree, Trinity.
You're the battery, you're the energy, right? So all these little Hollywood movies and stuff are really clues, right?
I think the Matrix can be more real than this world.
After he learns the truth, Neo reluctantly becomes this leader, the one who will free the rest of us. But where the Matrix diverts from Plato is in the ending. Those whom Neo liberates treat him as a savior, not as a threat.
Neo, please. I have a son, Jacob, about the noses. Please watch over him.
But this is how the elite try to change the story. The same way they did this with, I'm sure, Jesus Christ and Plato and all those people that were philosophers at the time. But to change the story and now create this whole different illusion is another way to control people.
I'll try.
But as an allegory that uses symbolism, the meaning of those symbols is subjective. In most interpretations, the prisoners represent us, the average person. But who are the shadow makers and puppeteers? In the Matrix, these are the machines and their representative, Agent Smith. But they might represent any authority or power structure.
Listen to me, Trinity. There's no more truth out there than there is in the world I created for you.
They could be politicians whose aim is to keep us passive and
Yep.
ignorant.
There's 100%
certainty of impact.
Call it 70% and let's move on.
But it's not even close to 70%.
You cannot go around saying to people that there's 100% chance that they're going to die. You know, it's just...
Wow.
They could be the media, showing us images that we build our realities around.
All right. Oh, all these movies too are excellent movies to watch and dissect, because there's a lot of truth in there. Here, this one was a great movie.
They could be religious figures interpreting the divine for us.
Right. And we see that there's a lot of corruption in religion and stuff. These pastors and all this pedophilia stuff, these are rituals designed to continue and to keep control, right? And this is not anything new. All this stuff has been going on for hundreds of years, since the existence.
Our spirits live on in the whole of time, exist in many vessels through time. This is the vessel you're existing in now.
They could even be our parents, imposing their own beliefs on us before we formed them for ourselves.
That's my little scholar. Today, honor student. Tomorrow, UN Secretary General. The ancestors would be so proud.
We're still studying the allegory of the cave because the questions Plato asks are still relevant. And for storytellers, we get a perfect example of an allegory that can be interpreted in many ways. Let's look a little closer at what writers can take from Plato's allegory. Whether you're working in theater, film...
All right, so that's basically all I want to show y'all on that there. Okay, that is that there. For us to break down and understand Plato. I want to show this one too really quick, so you can understand again how easy it is. And they're doing the same tricks. Same tricks.
They are left undisturbed for 3 days.
Right? This is the cave. That jar represents...
Then, when the jar is opened, the fleas will not jump out.
Right.
In fact, the fleas will never jump higher than the level set by the lid. Their behavior is now set for the rest of their lives. And when these fleas reproduce, their offspring will automatically follow their example. This is how generational trauma truly works. The fleas are placed inside the jar, and the lid is then sealed.
All right, here we go. So just to show that time does not change, it's all the same. It's all the same. Thank you for the sticking around and listening here. And again, this here new direction is quietly here to help those who have an understanding or feel like something is off, something is different. This is a safe space for you to be able to come over and get more information. So welcome to Out of the Cave, where the truth isn't safe, but it's real. This channel is for those who feel the system is cracking and know there's more behind the wall and outside of the cave. If that's you, then you're in the right place. So please like and subscribe and come back for more.